welcome, fellow millennials and all others that are not millennials. You know who you are. I'm Lindy.
I'm Stephanie.
And you are listening to Turn of the Millennials. Woo! Cue applause. We need a sound machine.
We do.
How are you today, Steph?
There, we'll do our own sound machine.
Sounds like golf clapping.
Right? Golf clap, golf clap. I'm doing pretty okay. It's a pretty sunshiny day here. I think we just need to kind of talk about it because I feel like this brings into a millennial moment.
No.
We just had a huge, massive Rogers outage a day ago, and I feel like it brings us back to a millennial moment because it required a lot of us to not have cell phones or internet for a whole, not just a couple hours, a whole entire day. So no TVs if we had Chromecasts, no, apps, no nothing, guys. This is going back. We're going back.
I did not share your pain. I am not with Rogers. I had my internet. I had my phone. I was good.
I had TELUS. I have TELUS for my phone, so I was fine.
Yeah.
Like we weren't completely.
I'm with Kudos,
but
so
you have to realize, like that does put a lot
as
of
funny as this kind, like people are as funny as people are laughing at this, as much as people are making a joke about this. This was actually pretty fucking serious.
Like it literally shut down banks, call emergency services and stuff like that, guys. Like it was crazy.
It kind of really tells you going like with a cashless system is probably not going to work out the way you think it will. Just saying. I don't know.
Yeah, well.
I know Aaron fucking hated it because everything was fucking down at his store. Trying to run a business with no internet. Oh, yeah. Because when he came home that day and told me about it, I was like, oh, yeah, haha. And he goes, oh, it wasn't funny. Like, it was a fucking awful day. And I was just going, sorry, I've been at home all fucking week. Like I haven't really been out of the house for a week because I'm like on holidays. My factory's on shutdown. So I've been kind of isolated.
I'm unemployed and I just enjoyed all the memes that came out of it. It was great. It was, but also at the same time, like I said, we have a Chromecast. We don't have cable. So like all of our TV based stuff usually is off of the internet, but we still have boxes of DVDs. They just sit in a closet because most of it's on. So we do have the accessibility to, but again, it takes us back. It is a millennial moment because like no matter what, everything kind of took us back to, that
life
time.
Before internet.
Life before massive internet. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
the only difference was you're an adult now.
Where we had to watch TV or watch DVDs, where we were
go outside. We were listening.
Read a book. We had music on most of the day, just doing our stuff, like cleaning the house and things. And we ended up being just fine. But I just thought it was kind of an interesting way to bring back the millennial moments. And we did play Pogs for a little bit because it was hilarious.
I saw that comment that you made.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, no, since like I didn't relate to that because that did not affect me whatsoever. I'm not sure which millennial moment I want to use because I have kind of several. Been feeling old since I turned 39.
It's only been
I'm never
like
gonna say,
a week.
I know. I'm never gonna say that normal, just so you know. Okay, so I think I'm gonna go with this one because this one may be the maddest. Okay, so I'm at work, lunch break or whatever. I walk in, I sit beside this girl, Lena, who's like 22 years old, and she's 22 years old. Waterfall starts playing by TLC on the radio. I say to her, this is what our conversation ensued. Okay, this is what happened. I say to her, I will bet you $1 billion they don't play the rap part when, like, by the end of this song. She replies with,
what's that?
Waterfalls doesn't have a rap part. I look at her and I go, like, you just fucking broke my heart. How fucking dare you?
You literally took a whole.
I'm not done. I'm not fucking done.
Song.
I am not done. I am not done. Her next question. Her next question was, oh, does one of the members rap it?
What?
Yeah. She goes, well, which one? I go, the dead one. And she goes, one of them died?
Wow.
Like, I'm reliving this moment. My heart is pounding right
now.
Well,
here's the other part of this as well, because your beloved show that you marathoned on your birthday has also done the exact same thing. It brought Stranger Things brought like the Kate Bush Running Up That Hill song to the masses. And apparently there's a whole generation that just learned about Metallica
I
from
know,
it as well,
right?
Lindy.
Okay, Kate Bush is one thing. Like, Kate Bush is one thing.
Right.
How have you never fucking heard of Metallica?
A Metallica.
Doesn't matter, like, who your family is or what kind of music they're in. Like, they're
and
my
kids, or like, I just feel like they're in the background of movies. And like,
yes, I was just gonna say, like, my kids who are 13 and almost 16 have seen tons of movies that have Metallica in them. They know who Metallica is. They watch those fucking Christmas house light thingies at Christmas time. We like go through them. They're like a rabbit hole that we go down. And almost everybody uses fucking Metallica for their Christmas music when they're doing the light displays. Like,
actually,
or a steamroller. What's that one?
The Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
That one too. But the one that Marshall wanted to use on How I Met Your Mother.
Mannheim Steamroller?
Yes, thank you. I was couldn't think of the Mannheim part.
Most of them is usually Trans-Siberian Orchestra, though. They're the ones.
They're really fucking good. Did you check out their Christmas album? It's amazing.
They have multiple Christmas albums.
But sorry.
Yeah. Come on, multiple ladies, multiple. Remember,
people who don't know, they do the Home Alone Christmas song.
Christmas Obsessed, remember.
Which August Burn Red does a really good version of that too. Anyway, but yeah, like, it's, how do you fucking not know who Metallica is? Like,
or TLC.
Really? Like, or TLC. Like, okay, I do need to maybe some background info. She is Mennonite.
Okay.
So I can understand that, but she's very new age Mennonite. Like,
but still a 21-year-old new age Mennonite, you're still like, may not have,
most of her friends are not. So like, I would think that with her life experiences, she would have been at least exposed to this kind of stuff. And she knew the song.
Yeah.
She knew the song. Like, she was singing along to it because she only ever heard it on the radio, which
I was going to say Chime FM has played it all the time, but they usually would take the rap part out because it's not
like,
part of
if I hear a song enough times on the radio that I am singing along to it, I'd probably put it on my Spotify list or like whatever music list that I listen to. And that maybe I don't know. I'm just,
you got to remember, the new generation consumes music differently than we do.
I know. It's like, does this generation no longer use music to soothe their soul? Like, do they no longer relate to music in a way we related to music?
I think they,
like, because there's so much of it, like, it's oversaturated.
There's so much to consume, and also because they don't, I don't know if they consume it like we do, like we did with the way that you sat down with an album and you sat with that album
and just
for
listen to the lyrics.
And
yes, like the
Spotify. Yeah, and Spotify will now be like, oh, you like this? Here's some other people you might like because of this. And like I said, it gets
so
almost
much
over.
Because I remember like
overstimulated.
When I got the Hanson's Middle of Nowhere album.
Yep.
I had one of those stereos that had the 2 discs on the top, the 2 CDs at the top. I put that one in my right side disc, CD disc, and did not fucking move it. Did not take it out.
How
for
long
like
was that?
12 years. And that was only because I think I sold the stereo or it broke. It stopped working. I got rid of it.
Yeah.
It was like from the time that album was released, that day I went and bought it. It went in my CD player and I didn't fucking take it out for 12 years.
Well, and think about people that had like 5 disc changers and things like that. Like either way. Even just that's a millennial moment in its own.
You know what?
5 disc CD changers.
I kind of miss the sound of like the CD switching from CD1 to CD2. Like, you know, it has a specific sound. Yeah.
Because it's like, it takes it out.
Yeah.
Especially if you had the 5 disc one, it would like, it would take out the piece of plastic, take the new one in and put it out. Yeah.
Because mine would just move the little spindle thing from CD1 to CD2. So it would just move back and forth, right? But I remember the sound of it. And every time I accidentally would hit it to switch it over and I didn't mean to, I'm like, son of a bitch, because it would take so fucking long to go over. Then you have to hit it again and get it all the way back over to CD1s, listen to what you wanted to. Fuck.
So I think in this vein, it also kind of brings us to our topic this particular week, because you talking about how a younger generation doesn't know TLC.
Oh my God, yes!
This soundtrack.
At least my daughter knows this. This
soundtrack is kind of our leeway into almost the 20 years before us, which was the 70s. Mm-hmm. We were talking about Now and Then, the movie and the soundtrack.
Like one of the greatest movies of like girls coming to age and spending time with a summer with their friends.
Of millennial history too. Like it's just, like not even everybody, but just
it is based in 1970, but it was made in 95. Yeah, it was made in 1995. But this story, these relationships are timeless. Doesn't matter what time it's set in. I would hope that every girl has a small group of friends like this one.
Yeah.
I know I did.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah. Exactly. We like I said, we hope we all did.
Like Stephen King says, you never had the friends like you had when you were 12. Jesus does anyone.
Wasn't Thomas Wolfe?
No, it was Stephen King.
Oh, Stephen King. I thought it, or was it the one at the end that's Thomas Wolfe?
It was in the novella The Body, which oddly enough, this movie is heavily compared to Stand By Me, which is what The Body was named.
I thought she make that quote in the movie. Demi Moore.
No.
Or no, she says something similar to it. Oh, you can't. Thomas Wolfe says you can't go home again.
Yeah.
That's the one that she is.
That's what it was. Yeah.
That's the one. Okay.
Yeah.
Similar sort of vein because like
I
said, this
very similar. Yeah.
Things, anyway. Yeah. There's things like when you're 12 years older, you just can't go home because things are not, life changes, life keeps moving. The only constant is change. And so, yeah. We hold on to the past and we for the nostalgia and those great memories, but they will never ever be that way. And I think that's kind of both the sentiments of both of those movies. But on that note, Now and Then, like I said, it was released October 1995.
Which is weird because it should have been a fucking summer movie because it takes place over
because
summer.
It's totally a summer movie. But if you notice when they go into the in their current day and age, it's actually more fall time. So I think that's
okay. Yeah, okay.
Like if you think about it that way, like the present day was fall, but their story was the summer of their story life. Yeah. So it stars, I'm going to do kind of, so there's a younger version
and then an older version of 4 girls.
Instead of having to have one character try to play both, they just had two sets of
Plus, I mean, huge age gap, 12 to like
30
mid to late 30s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
so we have Gabby Hoffman and Demi Moore, Christina Ricci and Rosie O'Donnell, Thora Birch and Melanie Griffith, Ashley Aston Moore, and Rita Wilson. Mm-hmm. And those are the 4 main girls.
Rest in peace, Ashley Aston Moore.
Yes.
She passed, 20 years ago? 2002?
Oh.
Yeah. That actually hurt coming out. I didn't realize it's been that long. It's 02, wasn't it? I'm positive it was 02. Anyway,
so it had a Rotten Tomatoes score of 32% and a tomato meter of 82%. Yay. Audience score, obviously, because audience
obviously
love this movie. Like
critics don't know shit. Like they don't fucking know. I'm sorry. What does a 40-year-old fucking old white man know about being a 12-year-old girl in the 70s?
Right, or even in the 90s when we were watching this
ever. And that is such a hot topic right now. I'm not even getting into that.
Well, we also know that I never ever liked Siskel and Ebert. They always were they were
so one-sided. They were so fucking biased.
They were frou-frou pretentious Oscar.
Oh my God, right?
All they were. They didn't care about anything else.
They were like pretentious was made for them. That word.
Yes. And like I said, it had an amazing soundtrack to go along with the movie.
Sugar by the Archies. Number 1. I almost feel like fucking love that song.
They could have had like a double album for this one.
Oh, for sure. There's a few songs in it that weren't on the soundtrack.
Exactly. So there's a bunch. Of course, back in the day, we were only allowed to have like most of the time
X amount of minutes.
Or one. They would only come out with one soundtrack for the movie.
Yeah.
Occasionally they would do a second one, but it was maybe like the pop and then the score version was like the second one. Other than Dazed and Confused, they were lucky and
they just had so much music that
confused.
Yeah.
So, but this one should have had a second one for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically it was a coming of age film set in the older girls are set in the 90s and it's telling of their story of being 12, 13-year-olds.
Yeah, and that summer they spent trying to solve a mystery.
Yes. So.
Yep. So it starts with like Demi Moore, who plays Sam. Gabby Hoffman plays the younger version. Driving back to her old hometown in Indiana. Was it Indiana? I think they're in like a when they were 12, it was a brand new suburb of Indiana called the Gaslight Edition. And it was like a gated community, like an estate kind of.
Just kind of a new suburb going in.
So she goes back because they made a pact, and if any of them needed each other again, the 4 of them would get together, and one of them's having a baby and she needs them. So she called and they're all coming home.
And then, of course, this brings up the feelings and the stories. So obviously, they have to show the backstory of this. And then we learn about that pact through this backstory as well. Which Marlene King actually wrote this when she was 10 years old. And so it's mostly about her group growing up as a kid.
Which I love that, because if a kid wrote it, and I think you can tell. Yeah. Because like it came out in 1995. I was 10 years old. Yeah. And I was not 10 years old. I was 12 years old. You were 10 years old.
I was 10 years old, yes.
Fuck. Anything to try to be younger, right?
Right. I gobbled. Me and my sister loved it, because also my sister had a big crush on Devon Sawa.
Yeah.
And we loved Christina Ricci. Like,
because she was in everything. So was Thora Birch. Yeah. And Gabby Hoffman was in quite a few things. If you watched The Odyssey, you were a fan of Ashley Aston Moore.
Yeah. Like, and I just loved Rosie O'Donnell at the time as well. She was
at the time.
Yeah.
She kind of fell from grace a little bit. But yeah, like it was like Rosie O'Donnell, Demi Moore, Melanie Griffith, and Reed Wilson, all like four of the biggest female stars of the time.
And then Brandon Fraser later on.
Brandon Fraser made a cameo, as did Janine Garofalo, Cloris Leachman, and Rumor Willis, a 5-year-old Rumor Willis, played Demi Moore's character's younger sister.
She was in a lot of movies that her mom was in.
Oh yeah, Striptease.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Which
I
watched that one recently, and it's still pretty good.
Still holds up.
I don't know if it holds up, but it's still okay. It's still okay to watch.
I might have to like revisit that one. Right. Without her like Showgirls, I feel like I need to watch Showgirls again.
That one recently, that one I kind of want to watch recently. Yeah. So anyway, like you said, there's lots of comparisons to Stand By Me. Overshadowed the movie's release, which was nominated for 2 Golden Globes and an Oscar, while Now and Then was actually snubbed and viewed as derivative. As we said, pretentious jerk faces talking about this.
Yes, which up until I read your notes like an hour ago, I never thought of that. Comparing it to Stand By Me never once fucking crossed my mind. I'd never heard of the comparison before, but like, I mean, it kind of holds up, but not really. I mean, the boys are going to look for a dead body. Girls are going to find a mystery of a kid who has been dead for years.
Who was dead for many years.
Like, I don't know.
His name was Dear Johnny. They're trying to find about the mystery of Dear Johnny.
Yeah. And we'll talk about that.
So basically same kind of thing. Prominent Critics deemed it no more than a girl's version of Stand By Me. Roger Ebert called it a gimmicky sitcom, and New York Times called it a little dull and too much predictable. And
fuck that. No, it wasn't. Yeah, I did not see that twist ending coming. I'm sorry.
Right. This was a twist. This was a time when girl power was about to make a rise. 1996, Spice Girls. Critics and a lot of media was also still very much men dominated in the like late 90s. Obviously, we know 2000s that started to kind of make a change as well, but we still had very much a lot of men dominated. And then I kind of noted this myself, or a couple other ones, that there was not many other ones. So like Babysitter's Club, and came out in 1995, was kind of another movie through the lens of girls' friendships. A little more lighthearted than this one, obviously, because they're not searching after, Dear Johnny's mysteries.
Yeah, this is them just trying to survive their friendship through the summer.
Yeah, and then there's
still a really great movie. I watched it like not that long ago.
Right.
Yeah.
And then a lot of them are like little Rascals or stuff like that. So it's it was interesting to have, especially for millennials at the time, because we were becoming the next biggest generation behind the boomers, that they needed entertainment for us. And this was exactly fed into our wanting to, I don't know, just have movies for us fit in, coming of age, seeing ourselves.
Yeah, because like the only thing that we were watching like girl related, like it just was like, I think like My Little Pony and shit. Like we were 12, we were getting away from that stuff, but we needed something to relate to as we're transitioning, going through puberty, the biggest changes of our lives. Like at that time, like
we weren't quite Sex in the City level.
No,
but we were no longer My Little Ponies.
Yes,
we were a middle ground.
Not yet, not a girl, not yet a woman.
Right? There's a reason Britney came out with the song.
But like, it's just, like now that I look back on it, really, this was the only movie you really had that you could really relate to at that age. Because the Babysitter's Club was what, like 97?
95.
98. Yeah, right. Was it 95 too?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Anyway, but that's just it. Like the fact that those are like the only 2 movies at that time, really, that we can think of that were like role models toward girls of that age.
Yeah.
Strike, I think we had movies. We had movies like Camp Nowhere, which was a very full-on co-ed cast.
Yeah.
Like things like that. But the co-ed sport movies, like what was it, Little Giants?
Well, just it was mostly boys
Or
with the one girl trying to get onto the team type thing. But again, still, you're trying to get the girl
and like the Big
dominated.
Green was a co-ed cast, mostly guys, but co-ed.
You started to get a little more once you get to 2000s with like Bend It Like Beckham and things with the girls and stuff. But yeah, this movie also tackled female teen issues where most of them at the time had kept them very surface level. This one kind of went deeper. You had divorce, death, sexuality, puberty, abandonment issues. And most teenage girls could feel, or even gay boys or gay girls at the time or whatever, could find themselves identifying in with one of these girls on the screen. Because they were all going through something that you could have probably, like me, myself, me and my sister were going through divorce. We could understand, we could identify with that as the kids, or, you know, I don't know, or even going through death. And like they say in the movie that it's like their childhood almost got shattered in some people. Like there's just so many levels that this movie just goes to.
Do you know who I identified the most with, but not really? Like, okay, so each girl has a very specific personality.
Yes.
And a very specific girl that they are catering to, kind of, if that's the right word.
Tomboy.
Yeah. I relate the most, like family wise, probably I have to go with Chrissy, because my parents are still together and very happy. They don't ignore me for parties. They're both still alive, but they're not like Chrissy's parents. They're not overbearing and smothering to me. So I wasn't as idyllic or naive as Chrissy, but I was very tomboy and personality wise, like Roberta. I was starting fights and I was playing sports. And so like I was a mix of Roberta and Chrissy.
Yeah.
So I related to those two for separate reasons.
So like I said, we obviously with Gabby Hoffman's character, we were kind of like going through the divorce.
Like 70s divorced parents were unheard of. So
90s,
taboo.
90s a little bit more appropriate, but it was more the girl that you could identify on screen with. Absolutely. And then I was also a little more tomboyish as a kid. Same thing kind of with, so Roberta was also another one that I kind of identified with. And then so there's a lot of fun things that I was reading in, obviously like 20 years later we learn about a lot of these things. So originally Roberta's character was supposed to be gay. This was revealed in 2015. However, in the 90s test audiences did not I guess enjoy the fact of a gay gynecologist delivering a baby, basically.
Fucking bullshit if you ask me. I found that out and I was pretty fucking pissed.
Yeah, so that was
because I was like, that would have suited her perfectly, because as we found out later on after the release of this movie, that Rosie O'Donnell did herself come out.
And not only that, like just when you like, not in a bad stereotypical way, but just Roberta's character she just had that sort of.
And I think like to her. I think that's the way she played it, because that was the plan from the start.
It is, well, actually reading here, there was a link in the notes that I put. So actually the little girls, the younger girls, did all of their scenes first. And then the older women came in and did their scenes based off of what the younger girls did, because I got to watch it later.
Okay.
So,
because I mean, there are a lot of people out there that don't realize their sexuality until they're a lot older.
Basically how Christina Ricci would have also played it as well, is how, Rosie O'Donnell also kind of brought it off.
Yeah. The only thing I didn't do as Roberta, same as Roberta, like I dressed like her, acted like her, whatever, did not tape my boobs down because I didn't have any.
I wasn't a fan of them because I was just like, it sucked because I was the one I got them before everybody else. So that was the problem. And it was I want to have them. So
I remember watching this movie for the first time with I think my mom I think we were all watching it as a family. And as soon as that scene came up where Roberta started taping her boobs, I just heard my mom go, and I was like, what? She goes, that is going to hurt so much when she takes it off that night. I was like, well, not if she goes swimming or sweats it off, 10-year-old me being a dick. But
yeah, not duct tape.
It was masking tape.
Oh, yeah.
It was like the thick, wide, white masking tape.
Yeah. There was also, of course, all the girls had a crush on Devon Sawa, of course.
I was more of a JTT girl myself, but
so there was a bet on who would get with Devon. And it says, I was the only 15-year-old boy with the cast of the hottest young girls in town. So it was a lot of fun.
Because they were the biggest teenage girl stars of the time at that time.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Basically all four of them, yeah. Thora Birch couldn't ride a bike, and Roberta's dead mom is actually the producer, Jennifer Todd.
Oh, the picture of that they have in the newspaper?
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking cool. I didn't know that. Obviously, I didn't read the IMDb before this because we didn't just decide till like last minute.
Right. And then
and my phone was charging. So
right. And we will finally settle the debate. No, you cannot see Devin Sawa's penis. He said, I've always wanted to address that. It's not true. We wore these sock things, which at the age of 14 or 15 was extremely embarrassing.
I remember, okay.
Everyone being like, if you pause it right, you can see.
We paused it so much. Because like, do you remember
DVD slow-mo too? So you could like.
I was just gonna say that. I was like gonna say, do you remember when like the DVDs came out with like this slow-mo and the zoom in? What? Oh man, did we try so hard to like? But then you'd pause it on the VHS and you have to like pause. So it like the lines across the screen would move out of the way.
Yeah.
Because half the time when you paused it, it would be covering the part that you wanted to see. I know we were perverts. We were 12. Whatever. But
I've never really seen them before. So, you know,
yes,
come
like
on.
we've never like exactly right. Like you're curious, you're 12, you're heading into puberty.
10 in my case, you know.
Yeah, like it's plain curiosity. It's very fucking normal. But I loved that scene. Hey, wormy wormers.
Right, I think every girl when she watched
dream on,
scene
asshole.
was just like, oh my god, I would so do that, and like,
oh, I would so do that. I would so fucking do that.
Right.
Oh man, I remember that scene for the first time, and I laughed so fucking hard.
Yep.
Like my whole family did. I'm pretty sure my dad thought it was fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah, greatest scene. And even and the baseball when Roberta's getting picked on by the guy in the baseball scene, and she goes up and decks him in the face. I think where everyone's just like, yeah, like just so happy because it's like
girls can't play baseball.
What
did you say? Girls can't.
Roberta,
play baseball.
remember you're a lady.
So don't you take your dollies and go home. The only doll Roberta's got is a G.I. Joe.
And then apparently Leo DiCaprio was supposed to originally play the Vietnam vet, but I think better done.
I did hear that. Yeah.
Way better played by
I think that conversation between the vet and the girls was like, okay, in hindsight, nowadays, not cool. No one would do that.
No.
What, 20 some odd year old veteran hitchhiking home happens upon a group of 4 girls
biking
that are like 12
around,
years old.
just saying, hey,
like that whole scenario screams fucking creepy.
Right.
But hindsight, 70s
was a lot more.
He had a lot of life lessons to teach them.
Right.
Which I think he did.
Right. Which the funny thing is like, yes, that scene could still be done nowadays, but it just would have been in a different setting. It wouldn't have been them rocking down the street. He might have been like, they might have seen a vet dressed up in a diner eating something and then asked him a question. Like it could happen, but it just has to be in a different context then.
Yeah.
The way then you're not going to drive down the street and start talking to someone like you would have in the 70s. It's not the 70s anymore. Most kids don't even look up to fucking cross a street from their cell phones nowadays. Oh my God,
fuck. But
let's be real.
Like one of my favorite things, like there's so much about this scene that I just fucking love, because not only does he talk about like, you know what, not every parent knows what they're talking about. Not all parents are right. And Sam's like, yeah, no shit. And then like where they ask him like, oh, we heard we're really gaining ground over there being Vietnam.
Yes.
Okay. And he's just like,
Forrest Gump,
and then Brandon Fraser's reply to that was like, a lot of people have lied about what they've seen over there or have done. And meaning like, you know, the government's full of shit. Media's full of shit. Like they're just feeding you what you want to hear. That's not actually what's happening. So like it's had real world issues to this
in
movie.
A pre-social media era as well. Yeah. Because now in social media, we have people on the ground posting their own experiences and we know.
You also have to discern from fake news and stuff. Like media is so different now. Back then it was, you got it from the news, the newspaper, and your parents.
And in the 70s, that was even before they had the 24-hour news system where it was literally just like your 9
I think it was like news. Sunday, right? Like, wasn't it like once a week or something?
No, I think they still had a nightly news and then they'd have like a newspaper. But that was like it. You weren't getting it from, you
didn't have it on like the 579.
CNN, that's on 24 hours and the 579. Like, we don't need all this up to, I don't even know why we need all this up-to-date news, but for some reason we thought that. So
anyway.
Yeah, they also just teaching you, like, I don't know, you just learn everything throughout this movie because they're trying to save up to also get their treehouse.
Oh, right. That was the point of the movie too. It's like they were, well, not in the point of the movie, but it was just like kind of like a side story.
That was the point of their summer. Was they were trying to save up for their for their treehouse.
For this treehouse, yeah, that they wanted to buy together. And then one of them, Sam, is like super into seances and shit.
Yeah.
So they go to the seance, like they go to they have a really cool fucking like communication system to speak to each other without using phones. Like I forget who starts it. Is it
wires?
Sam?
It's like wires to
Sam?
windows.
Okay. Sam flashes the light at Roberta and Roberta flashes back. No, she doesn't. How does it? Because I know that Sam uses the flashlight system and the pulley
Thora
bell
Birch,
thing.
I think,
Thora gets the radio and the flashlight.
So
she gets flashed by Roberta.
Back. She flashlights back and then she radios.
Oh, Sam. Okay, so Sam pulls the string with the bell on it attached to Roberta's window. Mm-hmm. Roberta pulls back to let her know that she heard. Then she shines her flashlight at Teeny's window, Thora Birch's window. And then Teeny flashes back, and then Teeny radios Chrissy. She's like, we need a secret meeting, and Chrissy's like, now.
Yeah.
And that was after the seance.
So
I wanted one of those as my friend so bad.
So so she's all into seances. They go to the graveyard one night and they're like, oh,
who do you want to talk to? Marilyn Rose. She never answers.
Yeah. So they decide to do someone in the local cemetery.
Yeah.
Dear Johnny. Yeah. And then they think that they actually erect him from the dead, and she thinks she sees him in his a little boy figure in her bedroom, and then that's when she calls the emergency meeting.
Did you notice though, like when they were leaving the cemetery, because it started raining, it started pouring, which is why they left, right?
Yeah.
And then did you notice when Sam hesitated, they showed a shot of the big tree and you can see the shadow waving his arm in the. Have you never seen that?
Maybe I'd have to go back and see. I might.
Yes, because then that's the same shadow that's in the room she sees in her bedroom later that night, or maybe the next night.
And then when they go, no, it's the same night, because then they go. Yeah. That's when she calls the thing.
They do the communication system. Yeah,
and his thing is broken. His headstone's
broken. His headstone gets broken. And they're like, holy shit, we actually freaking did it.
Exactly. Yeah. So now they have to try and find out how basically now their summer task is put him to rest and find out how he died.
Find out who his killer is. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're like, he's a young guy. Like, what happens? So then they find out that he had somehow been brutally murdered through people. His mom, her grandma. She goes to her grandma, and they're like, oh, no one talks about that. So she finds out that some kind of bad thing happened, and so they want to find out how he died and help lay him to rest.
Do need to rewind one moment to their seance before they ran away because it rained. Ashley Aston Moore gave a fantastic performance to pull a prank on her friends. Was fan-fucking-tastic. Where she's like, true. He's here. He's lonely. He needs a friend.
I got you.
And she punches. She's like, what was that for? You fart ass. Yeah. Oh, I loved it.
And then Dear Johnny's father.
We're not spoiling that one yet.
We're not spoiling that one, but you've said.
So they did. Okay, we have to back up to like where you mentioned where they go to her grandma, played by Cloris Leachman. So they decide to go to Sam's grandma's house because she's the oldest person she knows. Yeah. And that was when they talked to her and she's like, oh, it was just so tragic. I spent a lot of years trying to like forget it. And now I don't want to dredge it up again, blah, blah, blah. So she wouldn't tell them. They break into her attic.
She goes to bingo.
Grabs her hairpiece, goes to bingo, uses one of those fucking cordless vacuums that we totally fucking had. We had a blue one. And so they break into their attic and they're looking through things and they find a newspaper article. It was an op-ed from Sam's grandpa to the newspaper, and it was talking about how about the murders that happened, and if it's not safe in our sleepy town to show, or if it's not safe in our sleepy town, how much more safe can the world be, and blah 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 blah. And they start talking about this, so they find out that he was murdered, involving the tragic deaths of Beverly Ann and Jonathan Sims, which is their names.
This is the moment where these girls kind of realize that life is not all sunshine and roses.
This is where Roberta has an absolute meltdown. She breaks the mirror. She throws something, breaks the mirror in the attic, which 7 years bad luck, bro. Seriously. And also not yours. Like, how's Sam gonna fucking explain that one?
In the attic, clearly shouldn't been
yeah,
there for years.
obviously. But and then she's like, it's not okay. Like, why do they have to die? Why did she have to die? Then it goes into her missing her mom, and because her dad lied to her about her mother's death. How she was asleep the whole time. She didn't feel any pain, but in actuality, she was awake the whole time as they tried to extract her.
She found an article of
she was killed by a drunk driver.
Yeah,
was it a drunk driver that killed her? Yeah, they went to the library to find what they could about
Dear Johnny.
And they found a very small description of their funerals, like no information whatsoever, just their names. And then that was when Roberta found the newspaper article about her mother's car crash that killed her. Yeah, so and found out that her father died. Her father lied to her.
Had this information, hadn't processed it yet. So when they were up in there and then finding out about Dear Johnny and them and how these small little sleepy towns and that, so like I said, this is basically where they find out that the world is not all sunshine and roses and shit fucking happens and life sucks.
Yeah.
That moment, yeah, I understand why she has a breakdown because it's totally relatable because also like Roberta lived in a house with all brothers and her dad. So
I think she was the youngest of 5 brothers.
There was not a lot of touchy-feely going on. So when her mom died, who knows?
Yeah, because her mom had been dead for 8 years at this point. She died when she was 4, and she's 12 now.
So she's been so long without a mother, and maybe not even real processed, and so just I get it why she had a freak out. Like,
so they all the 4 of them had a really nice heart-to-heart talk. That was when Sam finally divulged that her parents were getting divorced. At this point, only Teenie knew.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And what really gets me is the scene in where is it? So when Sam's mom brings home Hank Azaria on her date, Sam gets really fucking mad and she leaves the house. She goes see Teenie and them her go to their treehouse that they want to buy and have a heart-to-heart. They talk about divorce. And what really hurt me, what really got me in that scene was when Teenie was like, she's like, there's plenty of single parents that do really good. And she starts naming off all these TV shows. And Sam is like, all of those parents died. My dad chose to leave.
Widower. Yeah,
widower. And that line was just even though I couldn't relate because my parents are still together, my heart broke for her. Just that, all those parents died, mine chose to leave. How much for that's why you need representation in media. It's why you need it.
I agree.
So you don't feel alone.
But we're not.
And now look at but now look at the divorce rate. Oh, and that was the night when Sam almost died too. We didn't mention that. So they see this creepy old man in town. They call him Crazy Pete. Rides around on his bicycle and whatnot. And all their parents are like, leave him alone. He's just, an old man that just, fell on hard times. So when Teenie and Sam were riding back from the treehouse and it was raining really hard and Sam lost her friendship bracelet that Teenie gave her. She had to insisted on finding it. She found it. It was in the gutter. So she crawls into the fucking street gutter.
Crazy.
Oh my God. We did stupid shit back when we were kids, but I would never have fucking done that.
Ours were also not that big to go in.
That's true. Yeah. You couldn't fit in one of them. You would have had to lift a manhole cover and no way a 12-year-old was lifting a manhole cover.
No.
So Sam almost drowns because it's torrential downpour. Someone jumps in, pulls her out. He comes out and lo and behold, it's Crazy Pete who saved her. And from that day on, her and Teenie just kind of
which this is how me and my sister always knew it was an American movie. You get her home, huh? Because Canadians say A and Americans say huh.
Yep. I remember that on Breaker High, Cassidy, she'd always say huh.
Yes.
Drove me nuts. But yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, they learn Crazy Pete and then
and then this, so back in the attic when they're talking about the divorce
where
and
they make the pact.
This is where they make their pact.
A pact about whenever one of them needs each other.
Chrissy is the one that prompted it. She's like, if any one of us,
the sentimental one that she is.
If any one of us ever need anything, we should promise to be there together and whatever. Okay, I know we're doing this movie all wrong, but I really need to fucking rewind because we missed a whole fucking section. The entire fucking bike ride from the Gaslight Edition to Shelby to the green, whatever it was. Well, we kind of
mentioned it. We mentioned the way back with the veteran.
Yeah, but did we mention the best fucking part of that trip?
Okay,
second best part of that trip, besides the whole skinny dipping boys catching them and stealing their clothes thing, was the talk when they stopped for lunch.
And her stuffing.
Because they always play truth or dare.
And Chrissy always picks truth. She never picks dare.
Can I please say it? Can I say it?
Pudding.
So they ask Chrissy truth or dare, and Chrissy reluctantly picks truth. And they ask her, have you ever tongue kissed a boy? And her answer is, are you kidding? I don't want to get pregnant. And then they go, you can't get pregnant by kissing. And she goes, I know that, beetle brain, but it's common knowledge that if you tongue kiss a boy, he automatically thinks you'll do the deed with him. They can't help it. They're driven. It's the male curse. And what deed would that be, Chrissy? Planting the seed and watering the flower.
Because this is how her mom told her about the sex talk.
And every woman has a garden. And every woman needs a man with a big hose.
Bonnie.
Or maybe a small hose.
Who was her mom played by? Bonnie,
doesn't matter as long as it works. Bonnie Hunt.
Bonnie Hunt. That's it.
Fucking wow. Seriously, whoever came up like that, I swear is like one of the best lines in like media history. So good. And then you have Sam just like, does that work? How did that work? Like plant the seed and water the flower. And they all just start laughing and they're just like, I'm drinking my Coke.
Yeah. Her mom is, yeah.
Canopy up, canopy down. Is that the right way?
There's a reason Chrissy is the way she is, guys.
There's a reason why she has a healthy obsession with gardening in her adult life.
Yes. I guess so. I guess that's how.
So good. So good. Oh man. Okay, so what happened after that? After their pact and everything.
What do they do after that?
Do they go back to the cemetery to put dear Johnny to rest? And then that's where they see that thing?
Wasn't there something before that? Maybe they do put him back there.
Oh, they go see the witch, played by Janine Garofalo.
That's a little earlier, but yes, they do go to see the witch.
Yes, they do. Janine Garofalo is in this movie.
Who was actually the diner waitress.
Yes.
With some brown cows boys. We're not boys, we're girls.
We're girls. I know.
And then
she
goes so they go to see her because she's also, not only is she a waitress, she's also a tarot reader.
Which they call a witch.
Yeah. So she tells them, so he gets the, they get the death card and stuff like that. Yeah. So that's how
a murder card. Yeah. So they're just like, oh, Willa Dean's a fraud, like blah, blah, blah. They're like, but did you see her face? Like
she was scared.
She was scared. And then that was when they called Sam's grandma because they wanted to talk about it and all that. But lo and behold, Dina Ween was fucking right.
Right.
Willa Dean was right. It was murder.
And then they do eventually try to put dear Johnny to rest with another seance. And when they do this, they notice that Crazy Pete is there with
hold on, before that happens. That happens. They get to the cemetery and they're standing there doing their seance. They're like, it's time to put dear Johnny to rest. And all of a sudden they see this light coming from around a tree, and Johnny's fully put together tombstone coming at them with light behind, like floating towards them. They're like, oh my God, it's Johnny. Ah! Turns out, dude that moves around the tombstones in the graveyard knocked dear Johnny's tomb over, and he was just replacing it. And he's like, you guys need to have more respect for the dead. They're like, we have a lot of respect for the dead. Okay. That's why we're here. We have to put dear Johnny to rest because we raised him from the dead. Yeah.
And he's like, no, that was me. Too bad.
Yeah, it was me. I knocked over his tombstone. It's not easy.
And then that was the night that she realized that she can't go do her childish things anymore and throws out all of her
Sam throws all her seance stuff out.
Which, I'm sorry, Sam, you do not need to give up your witchcraftery or whatever for whatever age. Like, there's still, if it's what help gets you through your day, you do you, boo. You do.
I think it was the disappointment about, like, they went through all of that and they didn't really even raise. But you know what? They figured it out because Sam went to go put flowers back on Johnny's grave after all the other girls left.
Yes,
and that's where she found Crazy Pete standing beside his tombstone with fresh flowers.
And then that's when she was informed that Crazy Pete was actually dear Johnny's father.
Like, you're Peter Sims, aren't you? He goes, yes. He's like, I should have been there for my boy instead of down at that bar. Because turns out he stumbled home at about midnight from the side pub bar, found his wife and son shot, who woke up during a random burglary.
Robbery.
Yeah. Just a drifter passing through town decided to rob a house. They woke up, he killed them, and on he went and ruined John's life in the process and made everyone think he was just Crazy Pete. And it's just a really fucking sad story. And this is where this moment really gets me.
He kind of gives her another
life
lesson as well. Like
that she'll never forget.
I feel like she's the one who learns a lot.
Well, she's the narrator, so yeah.
Of course, yeah, she's the narrator, but she's the one who kind of learns a lot of the lessons, I think, through most of this.
Yeah.
And this was also Lindy's quote.
It's my yearbook quote. I quoted Peter Sims, where he says, things happen in life that you can't stop, but it's not a reason to shut out the world. There's a purpose for the good and for the bad. And it's very true. Like the good cannot exist without the bad. Because so you got to take it all in stride.
He did shut out the world. That's why they called him Crazy Pete.
Yeah,
he only came out at nighttime on his bicycle. Yep. Like
instead
he's
of pulling,
angry at it.
Instead of pulling his life back together and moving on and trying to properly grieve the loss of his wife and son, which no fucking easy feat. I hope I never experienced that.
Exactly. We're not saying it is.
But he let himself succumb to the anger and the grief and the disappointment
for too many years, and then now as an old man he's realized what he's lost. It's too late to try and do anything again,
which is really sad.
Yeah.
And so that's where their little moment, well, no, because then the next day, I was gonna say that's where it ends, but it doesn't. No, the next day is when they get their treehouse.
When Chrissy goes into labor, actually.
I know, but that's when they're going into the treehouse, because they're all in the treehouse and they're painting it, putting up curtains and stuff. Sam's sitting on the roof and she's writing in her journal, and then one of them is like, Sam, hello, Sam, and then that's when it fades into the present time. Sam's running out of the house and she's like, Rosie's super calm because she's the gynecologist, she's the doctor, she's just like, Sam, you're blocking me in. She's like, you're blocking in my Jeep. And then they're like, oh, take the limo, because Teeny grew up to be a superstar.
Of course, with her pudding.
Is that Teeny Tercel?
Her pudding boobs?
Yeah.
Big boobs that she would put in, because Jello, apparently pudding was more
Jello
realistic.
Was too jiggly. Pudding gives it a heavier, more realistic texture.
So obviously we knew she was destined for stardom, and she became,
played by Melanie Griffith.
And they even say at one point, are her boobs even real? I think.
Yeah. They I love that they take the limo and Sam is freaking out. Teeny's on the phone with the hospital the office that Martin's going to meet them at the hospital. Rosie's driving, or Roberta's driving, and there's pregnant Chrissy in labor looking at everything in the limo.
Me too.
She's like, is that a TV? Is that a VCR, Roberta? They got a VCR. Oh yeah? Does it have a remote?
I would be the same thing. I'd be like, oh my God, I've never been in, I haven't been in one of these often.
The red crushed velvet interior.
You can tell it's very time dated, because now it's like black leather interior with neon lights in them usually, maybe a stripper pole,
And I love how they're like, how Sam is like in the limo. She goes, shit, don't swear around my baby. And then she's like, shit. And she's cut to like being in labor at the hospital. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man,
So she
delivers her baby.
Yes, she gives birth. Her husband shows up just in time.
Is it supposed to look like that?
Yeah, just in time, which it's true. Babies are so weird when they come out. Let's be real.
Which, in case you didn't know, for people who have seen this and didn't notice, Chrissy married the nerd from the baseball scene.
Yes.
Where he walked up to her, pushed his glasses up, was like, hello, dear. And she's like, get away, nerd.
Get away, nerd.
Yeah, that's her husband.
That's who she ends up marrying.
So,
because sometimes in those small town Americas, you never leave, so you just marry random people in the town that you don't, never thought you would have married.
So then they cut to the four ladies back in their treehouse, kind of passing the baby around
as older ladies sitting in it,
talking about if they're happy and
how their lives are turning out and things like that.
So and when they ask Roberta how big her boobs are now, and Roberta's like, well, just how big are your boobs now? And she's like, 36D and worth every penny.
Yeah. And then Chrissy's like, oh
good Lord. And then she says to Sam, who's like unhappy because like everything's shitty, and she's like, have you tried integrating pastel into your wardrobe? Men love pastels on a woman.
Because she's a writer, so of course she's cynical of, cynical.
I didn't understand half of that Alien Next Door thing you wrote. I want to read that book.
Have you instant pastels into it? Pastels.
Incorporate color. Oh, you have like Easter colored reels.
I do.
Or spring, summer,
kind of springy. They're fun.
So then they're just happy to be together, and then
they do.
It has the best ending. The best ending.
No, they do actually mention about Crazy
Pete.
The
Pete, where she's like, Crazy Pete was his.
I used to send him a Christmas card every year, and it came back the last few years.
Yeah, and she's like, he died.
Passed away. Like,
so Chrissy and Roberta still kind of knew Crazy Pete.
Yeah, because they were still living in the gaslit. Basically, Chrissy lives in, I think, the same house as her parents.
She does. It looks exactly the same. Nothing has changed. She still has plastic on the fucking seats.
Yes.
They don't carry hard liquor in the house.
Yeah. So they are basically where they grew up, where this is. And so
like my mother, like daughter.
Like mother, like daughter. So they move. So yeah, towards the end, they hear a bunch of kids outside playing and playing.
I love the shot where all the bicycles are in the one driveway because that's how you knew where your friends were.
And the 90s.
And then they're in the backyard. Nobody has fences, I guess. All the kids in the neighborhood playing Red Rover.
A lot of places in the States don't have fences like that. I've noticed a bunch of
weird. A lot of them don't have basements either. I find that fucking weird.
It depends on
and
where
they wear
you
shoes
are.
in the house. Sorry, American friends, but what the fuck is that?
It depends on where you are, because we actually asked that in Florida, and they said they're only 1 meter above sea level, so you can't really have a base.
Certain states, yes, absolutely. Yes. I would totally understand if you are near the coast in those states. Okay, I would understand why you don't have a basement,
right?
But I mean, I've heard like Midwest, a lot of people don't have basements, but I could be wrong. Whatever. It's just what I heard. Don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah.
But shoes in houses, what's that about? Seriously, weird. But yeah, like Red Rover was just
So then
and I think it's the best way to end that. End the movie. And that's how it started.
It got banned in most schools as well because it was too vicious.
I remember
you would try to clothesline your friends, basically.
Yes, it was banned. I think the year after I left elementary school.
Yeah.
So I still got to play it up until 6th grade.
Yeah. I mean, like if you played at parks outside of school, you were still allowed to play it.
Yeah.
But at school, they did ban it, like in school hours. You were not allowed to play with teachers.
I feel like playing Red Rover as a child really toughened you up.
It did. It totally did.
I think so. But all in all,
that's why our generation is as hard as we are. All those years of Red Rover.
How we can survive and handle all the shit this fucking world is handing to us right now. Yeah. But all in all, 10 out of 10, 5 stars, would recommend.
Yep.
Amazing. Don't listen to the critics because they suck. They weren't 12-year-old little girls. They have no fucking clue what they're talking about.
And
I've seen this movie literally thousands of fucking times. And Sugar was one of my go-to karaoke songs.
If you're listening to this, you probably have watched it 100 times and love it anyways, because you're probably a millennial anyways. Haha. And it was such a great,
Oh my God, you want me to read the Jello balloons? Because that's where Teeny got the idea for the pudding balloons for her bra. Because the wormers threw balloons filled with Jello at them.
Yeah.
How great is that? I feel like I want to do that with my kids. I'm like, let's fill balloons with Jello, and then we're going to go outside in the backyard and throw it at each other.
Very gross. It's very much, why don't you just do messy play day then?
Oh, we could do that too. There's
it's the same
there's
idea.
a splash pad right next to my house. I can just go
exactly. That's
what
I mean. But it's the same idea because you just put Jello in one of the things, and then it's the same idea. Instead of because you don't want to have to actually pick up all of the rubber balloons after.
True.
So you want to do a messy play day.
I want it with the magic mud and the pasta noodles. Oh fuck yeah!
And then one with Jello.
So much fun. So much fucking fun.
Right.
Probably do one with pudding too.
Right.
Yeah.
4 or 5. You do as many bowls / tubs as you want.
I suggest that to the council. Do one for like the kids here in my town.
Yeah, you should.
Small town, they might do it. Who knows?
Yeah. Just go to like the Lions Park or whatever it is down the street.
Yep.
Do it there.
Yeah, sure. We have lots of parks in this town.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So on that note, that is Now and Then.
Great movie. If you have prepubescent or even teenage girls, I recommend you showing it to them if you haven't already.
An amazing soundtrack. Educate your kids.
God, yes.
Sugar, Knock 3 times.
Signed, Sealed, Delivered. And the last
Band
one, Now
of Gold.
and Then.
I can't mention it without it. Danielle loves Band of Gold, so I can't not mention Band of Gold. Like,
Boots Are Made for Walking.
Right.
Like, Nancy that iconic scene where it's like, whoa, mom, or like, whoa, Sam, when did your mom
How short are those shorts? How high are those boots?
How tall are those boots? How short are those shorts?
Right?
Yeah. Oh, such a good movie. Such
a great movie. So many good actors, actresses. I think they were calling them all actors now, I think is what.
And the cars. I wish cars still looked like that.
The fashions too. You can't deny the fashions.
Oh my God, where they're sitting at the beginning of the movie where they're sitting at the table and they're reading each other like a quiz, like a Cosmo quiz. And they give each other like their answers. And like Chrissy's like such a prude if she doesn't like, that's just, so just relatable. Fucking love it.
So go if you haven't watched it, obviously go out and check it. If not, show it to your kids, guys.
I think it's on one of the streaming services. It's got to be on one. Oh, it's not.
It comes and goes. That one's one that comes and goes. It's a hard one. Hold on, let me.
Good thing I have it on DVD and VHS.
Prime Video right now is on it.
Ooh, I have it on Prime too.
But it comes on and off. When I tried to watch it last time, it wasn't on, and I was like, yeah. But
well, on that note, I think that is the conclusion of our episode about that.
So yeah, you can find us at our website as millennialspod.com, Turn of the Millennials on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all of that fun stuff.
Amazon Music, wherever you listen to your iPod or your podcast.
Listen and subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify. We'd love
Please like us. We're so desperate for attention.
Right. We want reviews. We want the algorithms to like push us out there.
We need clicks. We need clicks and likes. Clicks and likes and thumbs.
Get that algorithm going and push us out there, guys. You know you love us. Please. Please. This is us begging. No.
All right. Bye, everybody. Have a good night.
We'll see you on the next episode, or talk to you on the next episode, I guess.
Do that every time.
I know. We're not going to see you. We're going to talk to you. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode of our podcast. If you liked it, be sure to check out our previous episodes on our website at www.millennialspod.com. And also, you can check them out on Spotify, Anchor, Google, or Apple Podcasts. While you're there, hit the follow and subscribe buttons so you can stay up to date on all of our latest episodes. Also, you can follow us on all of the socials, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, at Turn of the Millennials Pod, and like us on Facebook to leave a comment and a review. We greatly appreciate it. We will see you next episode.